and Tiz the Law has the lead at the top of the stretch. It is Tiz the Law in front with 3/16 to the finish. Tiz the Law has a 4-length lead. He's left the others behind.
Live from the backstretch at historic Saratoga Race Course, this is Racing Across America. Racing Across America is brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. The new Capital OTB wagering platform. Bet any place, anytime with the new Capital OTB wagering platform. CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier wagering site in New York State. And the Clubhouse Racebook. Can't make it to the track? Make it to the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on the last Thursday of the Saratoga 2022 meet. I get to say that every day this week. It's a little bittersweet, as it were. Don't forget, low rollers over on the front side today. Last couple of shots at that Thursday today and Sunday as well. I'll be taking my last couple of swings at the low rollers. Should be fun. It's Fan Appreciation Week. That means tomorrow a giveaway as well. The mini umbrella, if you want to come up tomorrow Friday, you can enjoy that. So it's going to be fun. Last few days of the meet. Let's make the most of it. And we'll try to make the most of it today on Racing Across America. Thursday means I'm joined by co-host Anthony Mormino, but a little bit later on, Mike Welsch from the Daily Racing Forum. Mike and Dave Grenig have been alternating at the meet from the Racing Forum to do a little preview and a little review, and we will continue that this morning with Mike a little bit later on. But then, as I said, on the Handicappers Report, they drive by us probably 3 times every morning, taking the horses from the barn on Gridley out to their workouts. And so it's like, hey, you're neighbors. We have to have you on. Jim and Tina Bond, we'll have them on a little bit later in the show. But happy to be joined now by Matt Cutair from Adelphi Racing Club. We'll talk a little bit about the partnership and more with Matt. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Happy to have you on board. And
you brought the hoodie weather with you.
It's nice this morning. I was saying to someone yesterday, I was kind of happy that the meet was winding down because my liver's had enough.
Okay.
So you get a nice fall morning like this, and I'm kind of now wishing it continues on. We'll see.
And you're telling us tomorrow's Parka weather, so we're going to go from
40s.
Yeah, it's September.
90s for like 18 days of racing, and we're going to...
September in Saratoga. You talk about, and I've seen you over at the paddock bar. How do you like the new paddock bar?
I actually like it a lot.
I do too.
Yeah, no, I think they did a good job with it. I mean, it's got the same vibe to me as it always did, and it's just nicer now. So I don't have any complaints.
It seems like the naysayers went quietly into the night. There were a couple people got out here a couple days before the meet started, and they took some pictures and said all these things. What I discovered on the first day of the meet, as it was pouring rain for the hour, I was in the what I call the backside of the second level having lunch, and I looked out, and you can barely see it when you're outside. You can barely. It's like a tree house that
people are calling it the tree house.
Right.
Now. Yeah.
You can barely see the architecture, which, by the way, is gorgeous, the architecture. I thought, I looked at, I said to my wife, I said, if we can get like this section over here and bring it to our house and put on the back of the house with a deck, it'd be too expensive, but it looks beautiful.
Did a little handicapping for the Bonaventure folks one day up in the second level, and that's nice too, so I will recommend it.
Great job.
Talk a little bit about, before we get to Adelphi and the Racing Club and the partnership, and let people know how they may learn more if they're interested, because I think a lot of people during the Saratoga meet do start to maybe get a little sniff of the potential of having the fun of owning a horse or a piece of a horse. But before we do that, just talk about how you became a racing fan.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Maryland originally, so kind of grew up around horse racing a little bit. Nobody in my family was super connected to it, but with the Preakness and things like that, was always into the game, and actually moved to New York when I was 19. Had a job, but didn't know a single soul in New York City. So I spent many a Saturday, kind of that first 3 or 4 months in the city at the OTB on the Upper West Side where I lived, and just kind of got more into handicapping and betting and things like that. And it was kind of my thing to do on the weekends when I didn't know anybody. So kind of started that way, and then decided pretty quickly that I wanted to get into the ownership side of the game.
Wow.
learn more about what happens on the backside and things like that. And so I started to research partnerships to be a partner, not to run one. And I was between a couple different options, and actually my first, I guess I wasn't a horse owner yet, but my first official decision as a horse owner was to pass on a horse named Awesome Gem.
I like that story.
Who went on to earn like
2.6 million maybe.
Placed in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Very, very cool horse.
And we like the people that didn't pass on him very much.
Yes, yes.
Part of their 1,000 plus wins.
No, yeah. And honestly, like, the decision for me with him was, I guess he had some minor issues as a 2-year-old, so he was kind of the only horse that was available from West Point at the time, but he was on the West Coast. And so I figured if I'm going to own horses, I want to, be with them in New York. So I passed on him. Great decision. But then luckily I went to Sovereign Stables, and Matt and Mike Gatzis were great, and I bought into a couple horses that ended up being pretty good. Both actually ended up being stakes horses. Not quite as good as Awesome Gem, but still pretty good, and I had a lot of fun with it, and then just kind of rolled from there.
Just so you don't feel bad, there won't be very many in this partnership world that will supersede Awesome Gem.
No,
he's kind of knocking on the concrete ceiling. I mean, we talked about him for years, how you don't see horses, get to 7 figures like the way he did it. And such. I have a quick question for you. What was the first racetrack you went to?
The first racetrack I went to was Laurel. In Maryland.
Yeah.
But my parents, we used to go to Ocean City, Maryland every year.
Yes.
And there's a harness track there, Ocean Downs.
Yes.
So we would go there a lot. I really haven't followed the trotters as much as I've gotten older, but I probably was there, 2 or 3 times a summer for the first 15 years of my life.
Well, I know Seth is the same as me.
Many
of us started
across the street.
Myself.
There you go.
We used to go past Ocean Downs on our way to, I don't know how they pronounce it. I'll take a shot. Berlin, Maryland?
Yeah, that's where my dad lives now.
Really?
Yeah.
There's there's a steakhouse, pretty famous steakhouse, in the barns of where Man of War and War Admiral were.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. There's 2 golf courses. They built this area up, but I'll just say what it is. It's Ruth's Chris is in it, and you look out. It's in the barn, like how big the barn is.
I didn't know it was there.
The restaurant, and that's where, because we would go. We went to Delaware for a couple of years, and so I had part of Delaware really close to the state line. Those who don't know that Ocean City is just inside the state line of Maryland and Delaware.
Yeah, you got Rehoboth.
Right.
Yeah.
We were in Rehoboth Beach, so we went down and we used to go out there, and there was Ocean Downs on my left. My wife's going, "We're not stopping. We're not stopping."
So Laurel was the first track you ever visited. When was your first visit to Saratoga?
First visit to Saratoga was the second year I lived in New York City. So I was 20. A guy I work with was into the ponies as well, and we just decided to take a trip up. Both lived in the city, didn't have a car. We actually took the bus up.
Absolutely.
We stayed at the Hilton at the end of Broadway. I think the bus dropped you off at the polar opposite side of Broadway, so we dragged our luggage up there, and we had a great
diner,
weekend.
Right?
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Spazzini Diner, dropped you off,
Exactly. And we've been coming up here every year since. So
Nice. Talk a little bit about what allowed you to get into the horse racing game in the way you have as an owner. You were kind of, I would say, as I looked at the bio information, kind of a Mark Cubanish type of a situation. Not at that level, maybe, but
I wish I was a Mark Cuban. I'd be buying a lot more expensive horses. No, so I was fortunate enough to start a business. It was an advertising business in the digital space. We sold digital audio advertising, and actually sold the company about 5 years ago. And that kind of gave me the opportunity to jump into horses. And ironically, sold the company to a company in the UK that was privately owned, kind of the similar to like iHeartRadio in the US, so like the largest radio company in the UK. And they're owned by a gentleman by the name of Ashley Tabor, who's the son of Michael Tabor. So it was kind of a little bit of, I wasn't sure. We had started our business pretty, close to when we sold it. It was kind of early to sell it, and that was kind of a little bit of a push for me. Like, maybe this is kind of fate. Maybe we should go with this and see how it goes. So I tried to negotiate a horse into the deal. It didn't work out, but still worked out all right.
Magner Tabor, Cutair. That
has a good ring to it. I like that.
Yeah, very nice. But talking a little bit now about the Adelphi Racing Club, because that's your new partnership, and I will tell people if they'd like more information, you have a very nice website, adelphiracing.com. But what was the impetus to start the racing club?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I as I said, I sort of started out being a partner in partnerships, and then was fortunate enough to start buying my own horses. But I'll give Ray Handel, one of our trainers, a ton of credit. Pretty much right after I started owning horses with him, claiming and buying at auction, he was like, "Hey, I've got 2 other guys. I think you guys will get along really well. Maybe you should meet, and maybe you guys can buy horses together." And so I met Brian Hahn, who had a
local guy.
Yeah, from Dark Horse Racing, and Jordan Zotz, who had a small group called Randall Manor Racing, and we all just kind of hit it off. And I'd say over the last 4 or 5 years, we've probably owned 3 dozen horses together between claims and auction purchases and things like that. And we got to talking right before COVID about it would be fun to get more people involved. And so we decided to start Adelphi, and we started it right before the pandemic, and we actually ran our first horse the day that Aqueduct closed to fans. So pretty bad timing to start a partnership. Yeah.
Does the name have any significance of the partnership?
So I've started a couple businesses. Like when you're starting a business, you're just throwing a million names out there and trying to figure out what sticks, and then you end up liking things, and then you Google it, and someone else is using it for something similar, and then you throw it away or whatever. And if I'm remembering correctly, Jordan threw out the name Adelphi, and I think it was kind of in reference to
the
Adelphi Hotel here, and the connection to horse racing with that. And then I looked it up, and the word Adelphi actually means a brotherhood. And one of the things we wanted to, which I had no idea.
Me neither.
But one of the things we wanted to do with the Adelphi Racing Club was to really make it a partnership. Less of an investment, more of a partnership, and more of a community and a club. And so that seemed to fit really well, and we decided to go with it.
Got it.
Talk a little bit about the social aspect, because it is the Adelphi Racing Club, and whenever I bring the partnership people back here, I always say Saratoga has to be kind of the mecca to sell partnerships and whatnot, because part of the beauty of a partnership is the social aspect. And up here at Saratoga, you get to go on the paddock and enjoy the races, maybe hopefully get into the winner's circle, but also get to see your horses on the backstretch and whatnot. So just talk about the social aspect of a racing partnership.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that's, at the end of the day, horses are supposed to be fun. If you're not enjoying the experience of owning horses, then you probably shouldn't be in it. And we've got a really good group of partners that just love to come out, see the horses in the morning, hang out, have coffee, talk about the races, come out in the afternoon, have a few drinks, handicap, bet on races. I mean, a lot of our partners between Adelphi and Dark Horse, and we've got a lot of handicappers and gamblers, and so it's just a fun thing for everybody to come out and spend time together. We've got a box up in the stretch, which I got last year, that I'm super happy with. I think it's the best place on the track to hang out, just because it is a very social place.
Yes.
I love the clubhouse boxes and the history of that, but you're very tight, crammed in, and it's hard to converse with a bunch of other people, much less keep it really social. Have 8 to 10 people around hanging out, and so we've got a few boxes in the stretch between our box and a few of the partners have boxes, and so we pretty much hang out there every day and handicap, bet on races, lose a lot this meet, but we have fun doing it. So, it's a good time.
I'll let you expand a little bit more just on the stretch, because I have said since they put that in, it was a completely underutilized part of the facility, and I think it was a great addition. And so as somebody who is up there and enjoying it, talk a little bit more about the experience up there.
You know what? What's great about the stretch is that it's so spread out. So and the boxes themselves, you have kind of like leather couch seating options.
Yes.
I have a 9-year-old, so for him to be at the races for 6 or 7 hours a day every day, it's nice for him to be able to lay down, hang out on the couch, do different things. And then as I was saying before, you can really you can I think the box that we have it fits 6. But comfortably 5 or 6 people can sit down around the couch. Another 5 or 6 people can kind of hang out and mingle and come in and out. And it's a very social part of the stretch, or part of the track. And I guess the last thing I'll say is this year they installed those fans. I don't know if you've seen those.
Which look like airplane propeller, like jet. They're huge.
They're huge. They don't look great, but they work phenomenally. So in the 2 weeks that we had that really, really hot weather, you get a nice little, air circulation breeze coming through, and it's just way more comfortable than going down to the clubhouse and sitting there. So I honestly, when we run horses, they obviously take great care of people who run horses here, and you can get a box in the clubhouse and all that sort of stuff. I typically will just stay in the stretch because it's just so comfortable. And then the other thing too is, you don't have to dress up every day. Right. So I'm pretty casual. So
it's kind of more of an open architectural plan. You talked about the clubhouse boxes that are rigidly defined for years, and the open space. And for people who are familiar, Seth was talking about underutilized. It's the last 4 sections of the grandstand seats that you're right in the last 20 years. It was really be Alabama Day, Whitney Day, and Travers Day, and every other day, which was 37 days. there'd be nobody out there. They wouldn't even need to have an usher out there at the top. And then they developed this very like hip, sharp type area, and you went out and you're like, wow, and that's how things change.
Yeah, it is a 21st century kind
Absolutely.
of addition
In an
to the
1864 building.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good job.
There is your website, so if people want a little more information and are interested, and again, I think during the season people do. And let's take a look, because you have a couple. One's on the AE list, but one entered coming up this weekend. And let's get some thoughts. First, we'll take a look at Drink the Water, who is entered in the 5th on Saturday. And Drink the Water, we're going to take a look, go back to August 10th, race number 2. Now, this was a nice win. Drink the Water is going to be the number 5 horse, claimed out of this race, now moves into the Adelphi barn. Talk a little bit about what you expect from on Saturday, but also I'm curious just what is the mix with you guys of claiming horses, yearling buys, maybe 2-year-old sale buys? How does that work into the Adelphi Racing Club?
Yeah, I mean, we really do it all. I mean, we have sort of like an overarching approach in terms of, trying to be economically responsible with how we buy horses, whether it's claiming or, buying them at auction as 2-year-olds or yearlings. But we do want to offer, a variety of options to partners. I would say actually with the claiming side of things, we launched a claiming partnership earlier this year. And of the 7 or 8 partners that are involved, I think 5 or 6 of them had never claimed horses before. And I've been kind of amazed with how interested those people have become with the process of claiming horses, much less running them back and racing them. So it's been a lot of fun. It offers some pretty quick action, although it did take us a long time to get 2 horses for that partnership. We've been trying to claim a horse with Tom Morley since Fairgrounds. And I give
Well,
Tom
up here, the claim box has been on fire. The shake, multiple shakes.
This is why I want to interrupt that thought. You saw the 1-5 shot won by Bull, and so obviously, was it a shake, or were you just the only one?
9-way shake.
There you go.
Yeah. So I mean, we probably been 10 other horses we'd looked at that either Tom had passed on at the last minute because they didn't like how they looked, or we lost shakes. Whether they were big shakes or 2-way shakes, and then we got lucky to get this one. I mean, we thought this horse was definitely worth 20,000. Didn't think he would win by 22 1/4 lengths and run an 84 buyer, but he did, and he's come out of the race really well. And Tom said to me the other day, he said that he really likes the way this horse is on dirt. But after he galloped him over the turf, he said he actually kind of likes him maybe a little bit more on turf. So there's a dirt starter sort of at the end of the first book at Aqueduct, so it's a ways away, and this turf starter came up, and so we're going to give it a try and see, if he likes the surface. He's obviously by more than ready, and has every right to like the surface, so we're going to give it a try.
Well, we always talk about this as handicappers. Were you disappointed with the win in the maiden off the claim, or were you expect? I mean, he goes at a short price and wins the way he did. It was.
Yeah, when you're claiming a horse for 20 that's 1-5, I think you kind of have to go in expecting the win. Now, if he won by like a head, I would be very disappointed. The fact that he won by 22 1/4 lengths and got an 84 buyer, it's hard to be disappointed with that. But yeah, no, I mean, for sure, when we're claiming horses, a lot of times, and it's interesting to people who just think about it from a handicapping perspective, but when we claim horses, a lot of times we're trying to find that horse that's going to finish second. Maybe there's the horse that's dropping down that you think can win the race, and then you want to claim the horse that's good for the condition next time, get second, and keep the condition and go forward.
This is one handicapper who's been talking about it out loud on the show. I'm like, and this is great that you're here. That, especially yours, you have a partnership, there's a business model, etc. And you're like, no, I want that condition. Yeah. And we say, like, we really wonder if there's like a real like shrug where it's like it kind of immediately changes the whole equation. It's
no,
going forward. That's what I said. I think if you're claiming a horse, you never want him to win.
No, look, I think either you don't want them to win, I 100% agree with that, or you want them to win like this, right? Like if you think they're going to win.
Because you can see a future, whereas we're talking, not only maiden claimers, the 2L, the 3L, if they run second, you have that condition with the animal that's probably valuable, a restricted claiming race, whereas if you don't, you're like, darn, now I got to go up. And so I talk about it a lot because I think it's a interesting component for folks sitting in your seat.
No, it's hugely valuable, and I would say, like, the way I think about it too is as you go further down the conditions ladder or up the ladder, I guess as it were, it becomes more and more important. You have non-winners of 3. If you're claiming in a race like that, which we don't look at too much because there's a lot of risk there. But if you claim a non-winners of 3 here in New York, and they win that
horse
race,
wins.
now they're open claiming.
Take on the veterans.
And they're running against horses that have won 7, 8, 9, 10 times. And, so you're immediately losing value.
Absolutely.
The good thing about a horse like this, when they're put in for the tag for the first time, is even though they win the race, they gain a condition in the starter that they wouldn't have if they didn't run for the tag. So you, as the new owner, do get rewarded a bit in this sort of situation. So this kind of horse, granted, you don't claim horses that win by 22 lengths.
I always wonder what the other side thinks now when they're going down the road. When the owner calls the trainer up, it's not my horse anymore. He just won by 2 dozen.
Well, oops. If you're going to play the claiming game, that's going to happen. We've definitely lost horses that we didn't want to lose that have come back. It is what it is.
We had Tom Amos on earlier in the meeting. He said, he goes, this guy called him. It was a rough situation for him. And he goes, and Tom goes, in Louisiana, when a person says, you're fired.
The flip side, that was a claiming win we saw. The flip side is, again, on the opener in a couple of days, you have Certified Lover Boy in with some other partnerships, it looks like, in here. And a horse that was purchased at auction. We'll take a look at Certified Lover Boy earlier in the meet and winds up running third. Gilcrease wins this one. Certified Lover Boy is going to be the number 7 horse, as I say, is on the AE list. But talk about the other side of the game and purchasing some horses at auction. And what is your strategy, or what are the kind of horses you're looking for? The yearling sales and or the 2-year-old sales?
Yeah, so actually we made a mistake and didn't buy into this horse when he was purchased at auction. Ray Handel bought the horse and put a partnership together, and I just happened to get lucky that he worked this horse a couple times with a nice New York bred that we have that hasn't started yet, and he was ultra impressive in the morning. So I started bothering him about it and bugging him about it, and we were able to do a deal to get in before he had his first race for a small percentage of the horse. And like you said, there's a lot of partners on this one. He's a horse that's shown a lot of ability in the morning, hasn't quite put it together yet in the afternoon, but I think we learned last time from talking to Dylan after the race that he actually took to the grass more so than the dirt, and this time we're going to try to stretch him out. We'll see whether we get into this spot. I'm kind of hoping that this race goes, we don't get in, and then maybe they write the race back, because they had, I think, 21 horses enter the spot, and there's 16 with the 4 AEs and the 12 in the field plus 5 that got excluded. So we're kind of hoping maybe they bring it back for Monday or something like that. But certainly if it goes, we'll run in it, and it'll be his first opportunity to sort of stretch out on the turf. And he's a horse that if he runs to what he's shown in the morning workouts, he could be a really, really fun horse for us. So I'm excited about it.
Certified Lover Boy.
I have another quick question for you then that we talk about. For many years, these races would be oversubscribed, and not getting in, you would get these stars, which would mean you move to the head of the class. Do they still, obviously there's a smaller horse racing population, but do you receive a star, which means if they write it back, you go to the head of the line?
So that's a good question. I didn't know about the stars. Obviously, you have a date, right?
I'm old.
Yeah, so it very well may exist. I don't know. But obviously, you have a date, from when you started last. This horse started 3 weeks ago, so that's probably why he didn't make it into the body of the field. So there's certainly preference that's put in there.
Yes.
And on the turf this time of year, it's extremely important, that date, because people start to think about with the weather today and
the end.
Yeah,
sure.
So the fields get very, very big, very, very fast, and so you kind of have to you can't really afford to scratch. You kind of have to run. So certainly if we got in, we'd run, and hope that from an outside post he could navigate a good trip.
All right.
Very good. Once again, Adelphi Racing Club, AdelphiRacing.com, and if people. What is the game plan? What's available, or when do folks want more information and, again, are a little bit intrigued?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. We just bought into 3 yearlings at the New York Bred sale.
Yes.
We have.
I had Joe Migliore, and he works with you, right?
Yeah, he does a lot of our bloodstock work. He does a really good job, and we've got 2 going to Christophe Clement, 1 that's going to Ray Handel. All 3 of them are still available. 1 has a very small amount left. The other 2 are a little bit more open. So, you can reach out if you're interested in a New York bred yearling. We have a few of them now, and we'll be active throughout the fall, as we get into Keeneland September after this meet, the Phasic sale in October in Kentucky, and on through into the Mid-Atlantic sale as well. So, we'll have a lot of yearling opportunities as we go on. I mentioned the claiming partnership stuff before. We typically do 2 a year, one in the late winter, early spring, and then one in the fall into the winter. So we'll have a second claiming and private purchase partnership, which a lot of people are interested in because it's more immediate action. That'll become available in the next month or so. So you can stay tuned for that. But if you need information, go to our website, adelphiracing.com, or feel free to reach out to me. I'm Matt at adelphiracing.com.
Very good. And I know you have, as you've mentioned before, some local folks involved. We always like to root for the locals when they're involved in these type of things. So wish you a lot of good luck going forward, the remainder of the meet and beyond, not only with the horses, but with the wagering as well, because that's always important up here, and the fun also. So we appreciate your stopping by.
I need that. Any tips, let me know.
Are you a contest player?
I'm not. Although... and I'm blanking on the guy's name, but the guy that runs contests for First out in California, I met up with him at the Fountain of Youth, and he was telling me now they're starting, I think he had actually run one, a contest where it was like kind of an anything goes.
Yeah.
So you could bet whatever you want, as opposed to being locked into betting certain kind of bets and things like that. And I'm a very much like a pick 5, pick 6 type player, and so like the structure of the contest never really fit what I like to bet. But it sounds like maybe there's going to be more opportunities like that, and if there are, I might consider jumping in.
That is one of the things about. I don't think there's any perfect format for a contest. They all have flaws, and I think all contest players have had situations where it's like, I can see where we could tweak, but I don't know if there's any perfect format. But
I always thought what they should do is near the end of it, whatever the contest is, they should then begin to put governors on it because of the just throw the spaghetti on the wall type. That the beginning would be wide open, but then when you get to a point where it's like you can kind of feel what their agenda would be, well then you have to bring something in to counteract that. Would be a way to go that I haven't heard any contest talk about, where listen, the first 60% of it is fair game, the next 20% is at 80%, and then the last one is like at 40% in case you think you're going to go hog wild and hit the last one. That's all I've ever thought about. The only way they
swing at the end,
right? It's got to be curtailed because I don't think it just doesn't send the right message for the idea of the contest.
It takes away from the spirit of
I
trying
think
to do the
that,
best job of handicapping and betting
right,
throughout the.
You're right.
I agree.
And you say you're a pick 5 and a pick 6 player. Those are your preferred?
Yeah, mostly pick 5s.
Nice. So many players in our lifetime we've talked about the pick 5 just, pick 6 has been alive here, which has been a rebirth, but the pick 5 just is. So many people talk about it. In the old days they talked about the pick 6, but the pick 5 seems to be the bet in the United States now.
I think it's the best value in the track.
Yeah, because
Matt says so.
You kind of get past 1, you're going to get some value in there, whereas the pick 4 maybe not so much. So, but Matt, we really appreciate the visit, and as I say, we wish you a lot of luck going forward.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Adelphi Racing Club, adelphiracing.com. Matt Cutair, the head of Adelphi Racing, and as I say, you can check it out on the website if you'd like more information. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. Racing Across America will continue. Stay tuned.
The other thing I thought they could do is that before the contest, if you
For 4 generations and looking forward to a 5th, Bruce Cerrone and his family have continued their 99-year tradition of delighting their faithful following with the finest authentic Italian recipes made with the freshest ingredients. Some things have changed in the last 99 years, but not Pinnell's commitment to the finest in Italian cuisine. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, just minutes from the track.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Hello everyone, I'm Scott Vartley and I'm here at the West Condominiums in Saratoga Springs. And guess what? We are down to the home stretch. Everything is 2 bedrooms and 2 baths. Come make a selection of one of the greatest condos ever to be built in Saratoga Springs. We're starting in the upper 5s and the only rooftop penthouse available now under construction. Wow, just look at this patio. We have a rooftop pool, heated garage, balconies, and a gym. Call me at 518-281-6808.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on this Thursday morning. Thanks for joining us, and thanks also to Jim and Tina Bond for coming over and joining us. I said when I invited them on, I said, we got to have you on. You're like neighbors. You drive by every morning, we wave, and the horses coming up from the barn down the avenue here and going for their workouts. So it's kind of an annual visit. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you very much, Seth, for having us.
And we always comment on your cart, the 3-seater, which we like to see. Usually the dog in one of the seats.
Yeah, Danny's a new one. He's 8 months old, and he's our newest member of the family.
Tell me a little bit about how long you've had the barn down the street.
23 years.
And how convenient is that? And are you here essentially while training is open, like April to November?
Yeah, we come in about the third week of April, weather permitting. Okay, and we'll stay here till November 15th. So, and this year with the new direction with Belmont, having only one major track to train on, we're actually going to stay here longer because the main track will stay open here at least through October and possibly into November, depending on the number of horses that are going to be here.
Very good. And so you've got the facility down here, but I also wanted to touch on, I asked the guys to pull up a little bit of video. So Tina, I'll have you talk a little bit about your facility out of town, the Song Hill Farm. And again, we have the video, which includes the aerial shots. Gorgeous facility. Talk a little bit about the farm.
Thank you. Well, it all starts there at the farm with the mares and the babies, and we bought the property in 2005, and we built everything from scratch. So we just added a couple years ago a big arena barn, so it's an indoor facility, and that gives us a lot of flexibility to break horses. And yep. And so between the mares, the babies, the yearlings, and we have our retirees. We have a big paddock full of our retirees, Rufino, Tomasi. All the old guys are right there with us. So
are you foaling horses there too?
Yeah.
So foaling season, when is that?
Mid-January till mid-April, May. Yeah.
As I understand, that's kind of a 24-hour day situation.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Very good. Jim, I'll let you talk a little bit about, obviously, if you're foaling horses out there, play in the New York bred game. What's the New York bred game like, particularly these days? And we've had guests in here talking about it over the past, since the meet opened. And I always remember the one that jumps out to me is kind of starting the new era was Fiorito when he broke through the gate and then went on to win the Whitney. And talk a little bit about how things have changed and what the New York bred game is like these days.
Well, Fiorito and Ray Lassesi was the owner, okay, and he sent me some horses who were sired by Fiorito. They couldn't outrun you or I, okay, but Ray was a great owner, a great man. Saying that, I was lucky enough to have Cutair, and he went over for the inaugural World Cup, was second to Cigar in the Breeders' Cup, and it was third in the Dubai World Cup, which was $4 million a long time ago.
Yeah.
So New York breds have been strong for quite a few years. You can see by the sales over here at Saratoga that they're just bringing numbers now because the purses are great here in New York. Okay, the Breeders' Awards are fantastic. Okay, if you're a breeder, and so New York's really stepped up their game, and they've got a great product. And the farms they're better farms. We've all learned. Okay, we got better blacksmith, better veterinarian. So the support for the New York program is tremendous.
Yeah, absolutely. As I say, we talk about it quite a bit on the breeding side of the game for folks who are breeders, the Breeders' Awards, but the purses as well. Very good. Again, whenever we bring folks in, and for folks who have watched, they may know this, but we always have new viewers, I think, watching during the Saratoga season. Talk a little bit about how you got into the game, and you were out, speaking of Fiorito and Finger Lakes and whatnot, that was kind of the home ground for the beginning of the career, right?
Yeah, I cut my teeth at Finger Lakes, okay, and I had my trainer's license at 16 years old. I actually had my 16th birthday. My father was not a healthy man, so my mother and I had the whole operation at that time, and we were a leading outfit back there. And so the Engleharts, all of us, we all kind of came up together, and the Ferreras, and it was a good place to learn. And like I said, I got lucky enough to get Virginia Craft Payson and clients like that, and they noticed a guy that was working hard and trying to figure it out, and I got lucky.
And Tina, the family is now following the footsteps, correct?
It is. They are. Both of our sons, Kevin and Ryan, they went to college, and I don't think they could envision themselves doing a day job, desk job, so they came back to the horses, and it's wonderful to have everybody working together.
And when I talked to you yesterday, you have a big event coming up in the family, right?
I do. Kevin and Grace are getting married tomorrow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're
Very good.
very excited.
Yeah, I don't blame you. And wasn't it last year? Didn't I see you guys walking out of the paddock with a little grandchild?
Our
Yeah.
first grandson.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
little Benjamin. Yeah.
Benjamin, yeah.
The next generation.
Yeah.
Exactly.
As they say, I saw you in the paddock
Yeah.
last year with that one. I'm going to go back and pull up a couple of races because we also want to talk about Bond Racing. And so I pulled up a couple of replays. Earlier in the meet, Fontana Fretta won. This is going back to July 29th, going to be the number 12 horse here. Nice gutsy win, wins by a neck. Subsequently wound up running third in a subsequent race, but had a little trouble in that race, or may have wound up better. But again, we're taking a look at the win, talk about Fontana Fretta, and also, again, I'll give you a little opportunity to talk about Bond Racing as we tie into this.
Go ahead.
You good? You got it.
She's amazing. She really is. We've had her mother for years. Her mother was on the circuit in 2003, and just a hard knocking filly, and everything she produces just has that guts. And this filly's really coming into her own, and she just tries. She just wants it. So the mare has a little "Tis the Law" baby by her side, and
Nice.
so yeah, it's great. But it's just. It does your heart so good when you watch them and you breed them and raise them, and then you watch them win in Saratoga. Oh my, it's just wonderful.
And again, talk a little bit about the Bond Racing partnership, because we talked about that in previous years, and I know you aim to get some local folks involved and make it kind of affordable for people. So talk a little bit about if folks are maybe interested in participating in the game, and I think we attract a lot of people to that in that direction. There's the website if people want more information, but talk a little bit about Bond Racing.
So it's really not just local people. It's people from all over the country that are calling, and we have lots of inventory, so there's lots of choices that they can make, and we'll help guide them through the process of what they want. And it's been wonderful. We keep the majority of every horse, and we sell 5-10% shares, and so that each horse is a unique boutique-ish partnership, so that everybody gets to go in the paddock, everybody gets to go in the winner's circle, everybody gets to meet the jockey, and it's just been fun. It's been great.
And Jim, I'm assuming, because again, we talked about it earlier on the show today, the partnerships, I think particularly up at Saratoga, play into a social aspect of the game as well. So I'm sure the partners are all thrilled just to come up and participate at Saratoga Paddock and just have the fun of being able to watch you go in the winner's circle even better, but talk about the social aspect.
I think that's probably the most fantastic, because people will come up in the morning, watch horses train, meet some of the riders. You know, we have a couple horses ran yesterday, so you go back and you kind of look at the replays, and everybody talks about it the next morning. Shoulda, woulda, what the trainer do wrong, what the jockey do wrong. It's usually the trainer's fault, and but it's fantastic. I mean, we've met so many nice people that, you know, are they all making money? No, but I can tell you, I think they're all having fun. Okay, and that's huge. Okay, the horse game's a very tough game, but you know, we send out quite a few checks, thank God. Okay, to them. But bottom line is, they're having a good time, and you know, you can put your money anywhere in the world, and you know what, the horses are fun, and we've made, you know, some pretty, you know, wealthy people jump up and down, and that's nice.
I wanted to go back and watch another one. This was not a Bond Racing horse, but a horse trained by you going back again a little bit earlier this summer, July 25th, out at the Finger Lakes. I wanted to pull this up because it was nice winning the New York Oaks with Galaxina. Talk a little bit about this victory. She subsequently came back as fifth up here recently in the Fleet Indian. But talk a little bit about Galaxina and the win in the New York Oaks and what might be next for her.
Well, she ran a great race this day. She's kind of a looker, so poor Dylan, after she made the lead, he had all he could do to just keep her focused. Her ears are up, as you can probably see right now. She's a big, huge 17-hand filly. She weighs about 1,310 pounds. And, you know, she just is her
Wouldn't let that horse go by, though.
No. That was her first time going a mile and a 16th. And I'm not so sure she wants the distance. But, you know, she was a 3-year-old filly against state breds. You take your shots.
Yeah.
She's probably a best spot at a 7-8. She'll come back in the fall. Just a great filly. That was my 5th New York Oaks. I didn't realize that.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Wow.
So I got to keep a circle around that one. So, but she's a good filly, and I think she's got a bright future.
Very good, very good. Again, you guys are right down the street here, and for folks who aren't familiar, you said you 23 years?
23 years.
Talk a little bit about the facility down there, down the street.
We have room for 40 stalls, okay, 40 horses there, okay, and it's very very modernized. All the horses are on rubber. I like stalls to be very flat, so horses are standing square all the time. The stalls have rubber on the sides, so if they kick the wall, pray to God that they don't hurt themselves. We have ceiling fans. All the blacksmiths want to come in the afternoon and work at our barn because it's always so cool. Manure is removed every other day. I don't like flies or horses swatting at flies, wasting energy. It's kind of quiet until at night. Sometimes the horseshoe gets a little bit crazy, but it's just tranquil, you know. And it's a racetrack has to give trainers stalls on their quality of horses they're bringing to race. So you can't bring a bunch of 2-year-olds to Saratoga that, you know, are possibly not going to run till next year, this fall, whatever. So some trainers have to leave their horses at other facilities, Belmont, somewhere else. We're, you know, we kind of keep all our horses right with us. Okay, so with my 2 sons, you've kind of got 3 trainers for one. And, you know, somebody's always, my son's schooling horses right now, you know, for a weekend for horses. So there's always somebody there. And, you know, we're blessed. We really are. We have a very good family, and everyone knows we all got to make it happen and put food on the table for the next generation.
Absolutely. What's the off season like? Well, when you guys are still up here training, but the off season, you know, in that April to the beginning of the meet, and then after the meet's over, what's that like up here?
It's very pleasant. It really is,
Yeah,
right?
it is.
It's very
It's easy
pleasant.
to get around.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun because that's young horse time. Okay, we have a lot of young horses, so you're seeing them progress. Okay, we are allowed. NYRA lets us go on the main track and jog across to Oklahoma to train. This year we'll be able to use the main track, but you know, we have so many great things here because we're allowed to use the turf course, gallop Tuesdays and Thursdays. Speedworks are Mondays and Fridays, so you can just get a better line where, you know, where you're at Belmont or some of these other racetracks, only stake horses are allowed to use the workouts on the turf. So, you know, Saratoga, we're blessed to be here, and like I say, NYRA does a great job and, you know, takes really good care of us.
You ever bring horses over to Clear Court?
I do. Okay, they don't like you using it now in the off season because when this track wasn't open. But I actually train horses here the wrong way when I'm by myself because I like training horses different directions. It's just better for them. We tend to look at horses and they seem to have the same problems, left, front, right, hind a lot. So if you can switch it up once in a while, I think you have a better chance. And you know, just keeps Karen McLaughlin, when he had the private barn, used to do it all the time over.
Yeah, very good.
So.
And that's what people say when I talk to them about back here. It's kind of a mental thing
That's all
back
it
here.
is.
It's a little bit different back here. And so,
Yeah.
Jim and Tina Bond Racing. Again, you can check out their website as well if you'd like more information. Always fun to have you guys sit down, and always root for your horses when they're over here, because I know there are some local owners involved, and I always like to root for those. And you guys are locals, so we like to root for you as well. But as they say, we had to have you in. I have to have you in every season this year. The neighbors, and we wave every morning when you go by. Appreciate your stopping by.
Thank you for.
And good luck to the family. Have fun tomorrow at the wedding.
Thank
We
you.
will. Thank you.
Jim and Tina Bond. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, Mike Welsch from the Daily Racing Forum. Stay tuned.
The lineup, they're all set now for the juvenile fillies turf. 14 of them across the track. Eagles sent on their way. And the dance on the outside broke a little sideways with Pro KK, but meanwhile it's going to be stopped. But running on now, and Somali Lemonade's got 8 to make up. They come to the top of the lane. Stop Shopping Maria's got a lot left. Stop Shopping Maria goes on. Sweet Cat is right there. Hard not to right. Royal Body is running on. Past the 8 ball way comes. Stop Shopping Maria for the run. Still under a hand ride as they come to the 16th. Stephanie's Kitten coming out late. Here's Stephanie's Kitten coming fast. Stephanie's Kitten, stop Shopping Maria. Stephanie's Kitten's watered. Watched the chances, broke smartly, but so did Terra from the Cape. On the inside, Sky Lantern the Grey going well. If he can get through, Sky Lantern the Grey looking for somewhere to run. Wide open. It's Terra from the Cape hanging on. Terra from the Cape tries to go all the way. On the outside now, here comes Flotilla in the light blue. Flotilla is absolutely flying. Watch the chances in there too. But Flotilla has gone right on by. And Flotilla is coming home to score. Flotilla has won it just about 2 in the end. It'll be Watch the Chances, Summer of Fun, coming on to finish third.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. As promised before the break, Thursday means a visit from the Daily Racing Forum. Mike Welsch is joining us. Good morning.
Good morning.
Workouts this morning, anything notable?
Kind of a quiet morning today. You know, a lot of outfits are probably already getting prepared to head up the road or to back home. And Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays just are usually pretty quiet. So I think we'll have a big final weekend here of works, and a lot of the Kentucky guys will have their final works here before heading out those that way as well. So, but they're relatively quiet today.
What's the game plan with the workout report? I mean, obviously it'll be available for the last few days of the meet, but as you move down to Belmont at Aqueduct, what will be the game plan?
We're going to start at Aqueduct and run it through at least the end of September, and then we'll see how things are going. We're going to have coverage here one more week. I think next weekend will be pretty busy here too. And we'll have coverage down at Belmont right through the month of September at least, and maybe on into October. So as long as we think the quality of it is high and we have enough to report on, we're going to keep it going, you know, like I said, at least through September, and hopefully right up to the Breeders' Cup if we can.
Very good. And again, drf.com, you can pull up the workout reports, very valuable. I know folks have benefited throughout the meet up here.
Yeah, Saturday's card, we got 3 two-year-old races. It's odd. They split the two-year-old maiden special weight 7/8 of a mile 3 ways. So there's plenty of two-year-olds to report on for Saturday aside from all the big races.
Let's go back to last Saturday and get some of the big races there and some thoughts on that. First up, pulled up a replay of the Travers Epicenter over Cyberknife, ended third. Rich Strike, you know, there was some talk on the internet. I thought the 4th place finish for the Kentucky Derby winner was a little bit of a repeat. Second or third, he could have been right in the mix for either of those spots, but Epicenter with the 112 buyer figure clearly established himself at the top of the 3-year-old class.
Yeah, in the end, this was a one-horse race, and I think we discussed it the week before. I thought it was between Epicenter and Cyberknife, and Cyberknife was going to be the bigger price, which he was, but it was no match for Epicenter. I mean, he ran just terrific and kind of validated what everybody seemed to think, that he was the top 3-year-old. At least up to this point of the season. I thought it was a great effort by Cyberknife to hold on to second money after cutting out the early fractions and then getting challenged by Epicenter and being down on the rail, which I wasn't sure, I'm not sure still was the best part of the racetrack. So a great effort for him. He was never going to beat the winner no matter what part of the track he was on, but I thought he did well to dig in there and finish second. And the average strike ran well, obviously, and he had trained well here, or his workout here was good. Some of his gallops you might not look at as that spectacular, but he worked well and he ran well. So we'll see where he winds up next. The next big one is the Pennsylvania Derby. I don't think we're going to see any of these, or at least not Epicenter and Cyberknife in there, but Tabor's going over that way. Skippy Longstocking, I know, is going. White Barrio might show up, and it'll be a very competitive race. Everybody kind of fighting position behind Epicenter now in the 3-year-old division.
Yeah, and again, with the solid buyer, the 112 there, Epicenter kind of stamps himself as one to watch, maybe in the Breeders' Cup Classic as well, you would have to think. And we'll learn more about that this weekend, obviously, out on the West Coast with Flightline. But Malathat, in the personal ensign. Search results second. Latruska third. Clairiere, again, that was just an unfortunate incident with kind of bouncing around in the gate, and I think probably hit the gate. She was just never in it. But Malathat rebounds. Todd Pletcher, we had him in a couple days before, and he mentioned the race before the Chuvie. The heat he thought had gotten to Malathat. She rebounded nicely on Saturday.
Yeah, it kind of validates that opinion, and he kept the blinkers on her again, given. Right, she wore the blinkers here, yeah, didn't she? I think so. But anyway, it validated. Yeah, there we are. It validated his thoughts that it may have been the heat that got through that day. It's too bad Clairiere didn't get to run a race, though. That's really what you wanted to see. The two of them coming down the stretch together and see who would win that battle again. But hats off. Malathat did what she needed to do to rebound here, and the division will get interesting, even more interesting now as we move forward.
Curious to hear your thoughts on Jack Christopher in the Allen Jerkins. Nice performance by Jack Christopher. Gunite runs second. Running Son of a Gun runs third. But given the situation of the stretch out in the Haskell, and disappointed there, and then comes back in the Jerkins at 7 furlongs. It's going to be interesting to see what they do going forward with Jack Christopher.
Yeah, I think they're going to leave him sprinting, is my thought, 7/8, or maybe look for something in a mile for him. But Chad was not that unhappy with his Haskell performance, and he said if he had gotten to run a little slower third quarter, he might have been right there at the end as well. But obviously 7/8 in a mile seemed to fit him best, and I think that's where he's going to look forward to when he finally is able to get him back to the races again.
And finally, some thoughts on Cody's Wish in the four-go. I think everybody, myself included, thought there's no getting through Jackie's Warrior, but Jackie's Warrior got a little bit of a fight early from Pipeline and winds up getting swallowed up by Cody's Wish. Nice performance from Cody's Wish, the Bill Mott Godolphin runner.
Yeah, I just left Bill's barn and we were talking about it, and he's just couldn't say enough about how great this horse ran. And even though he's outside here and out, the kickback was pretty bad that day, and he still covered pretty good from the early running there. But once he got out in the clear, he was able to pick up Jackie's Warrior, got a big number doing it, and it's going to make all these divisions a lot more interesting there too. Jackie Warrior is still going to be the top sprinter at the moment, going into the Breeders' Cup. But it was what can you say? Cody's Wish, and a great story too, if you know the background of that story as well. So a lot of happy faces that Cody's Wish won, although you'd love to see Jackie's Warrior continue his dominance. Sometimes it's nice to see someone else get a piece of the glory.
As you say, adds a little intrigue to the division going forward as well. All right, there's some review. Let's do a little preview. We'll take a look at the stakes over the upcoming next couple of days, Friday and Saturday. Friday's stakes action tomorrow. The Lucky Coin, one of the stakes on the card tomorrow, 5.5 on the grass. I thought big package for Dave Donk was interesting, coming out of the near miss as the favorite last time. Thin White Duke seems playable. Proven Strategies for Mark Casse off the race 2 back. I was more looking at that one, but again, I thought big package was intriguing. Tomorrow's Lucky Coin. What were your thoughts?
You make a case for a lot of them in here, and Dave Donk has both big package and Thin White Duke. I mean, if Thin White Duke repeats his last race, 99 buyer, got beat a neck by Golden Pal, like Dave said, he's going to win this race. Whether he will repeat it or not remains to be seen. He came back and did that last week on 1 week's rest, going from an 84 buyer to a 99. Now he's had a month, but that's a big number to repeat. And both he and Big Package are kind of pace challenged in here. They're at the mercy of the pace. There's not a lot of speed for a 5.5 furlong turf stakes race. There's not a lot of early foot in here. Critical Way might be one that could try to steal this down on the inside, and I wouldn't be surprised if he got loose on the lead. He did that in the Get Serious, ran a 102 buyer loose on the lead. He's run triple digit buyers 3 times in his career. So it's his first time over this course. There's something to be said for horses like Big Package and Thin White Duke to have had races over and proven they've liked this course. Not everybody runs the same over every turf course, but the Critical Way is one I keep an eye on in there just because of the pace scenario. But again, like I said, you can make a case for several of the others in here. Proven Strategies was a front-running 2-turn horse that he's won several races going 2 turns on the front end, but now he's a late-running sprinter. So he's in the same boat as Thin White Duke and Big Package, going to need the pace, and so things to work out trip-wise. Dancing Buck has also won 2 in a row, and he's going to be a little more forwardly placed, so you got to respect him too. Very good race betting-wise. I think is going to be a wide-open board for this race, and we'll just see how it turns out.
Yeah, I think it's a fun one. Again, that's tomorrow's 8th, the Lucky Coin. The 9th tomorrow is the Grade 2 Prioress. It's the ladies going a quick 6 furlongs. I put Angitude on top, lightly raced from Brad Cox, who I think as we've gotten to the end of the meet, Brad's gotten a little bit hot as well. Steps back from the mile last time in the restricted stake here at Saratoga. I think that'll be beneficial. Wicked Halo, I thought, was very playable as well off the win streak down at Churchill. What were your thoughts on the prior race?
I like Angitude just because of what I've seen in the morning from this filly since her last race. She's worked terrific. She was actually the workmate of Cyberknife a couple of works back, and even though she was second best, I thought she held in there pretty well, and then her last work was even as good, or if not better. She is lightly raced, so she's a filly that could probably step forward here in the form she's in at the moment. The big question mark for me is Smash Ticket, kind of out of sight, out of mind. We saw her run here once in that allowance race, a game winner there, then went back to Belmont, so she's done all her training down there. But this is another lightly raced filly that I think's got perhaps a forward move in her as well. So I wish I could have seen her train coming into this race, but I think she's a big player in here also.
Interesting. They're both 4-1 on the morning line. I think Angitude's going to take a little. I have to think going to take a little bit of action.
I'd like to get 4-1 on Angitude.
Me too. All right, and on Saturday we'll take a look at a couple of the stakes on Saturday. First up, we will take a look at the Flower Bowl. I pulled up the win last time in the Glens Falls from Warlike Goddess, and I think off of that win, Warlike Goddess will take a lot of action. But Capital Structure is going out for Chad and Klarovich. Flanagan's Cove for Shug. They were Flanagan's Cove was behind Warlike Goddess. Temple City Terror, the second behind Warlike Goddess. That makes that one interesting. Marvelous Maud stepping out of the allowance event, I thought was perhaps a little bit intriguing. Your thoughts on the Flower Ball?
It goes through Warlike Goddess. It's her race to lose. She's going to be odds on again. You watch this last race. You know, she came to the 8th pole even with 2 or 3 others, and once Joel just kind of let her run a little bit, boom, she just drew off quickly, and then he took her in hand at the end. She is also, you know, a little bit her running style at the mercy of the pace, and again, there's no pace in here, but I just talking to Bill, you know, last race, the Flower Bowl, they went 51-2, 17 and change. Keelan, the race before, the Bewitched, 53 and change, 19-4, and she was still able to come on and win. She's just a remarkable filly. She ran through these races last summer. Should have won the Breeders' Cup. Unfortunately, didn't get the best of trips and just got beat. Now here she comes back and just has duplicated that form again, which isn't easy to do. Come back a year later and you know, Bill says, I asked her, do you think she's as good as, better than last year? He said, similar. I said, similar is a pretty good spot to be. So this is the next step. The one thing he is saying, though, come Breeders' Cup, the Breeders at Keelan, the filly in Mad Turf is 1 mile and 3/16, so he may opt to run her against the boys because she's going to need more distance. But, you know, first things first, and let's get her through here. But she's certainly the one to beat. If you're looking for somebody to pull the upset, there's a lot of a lot of options. Temple City Terror, Virginia Joy weren't that far behind her. Shug is high on Flanagan's Cove. He said there's one of these races with her name on it down the road. He thinks she's going to get even better and better. So, but they still got to beat Warlike.
Yeah, 8 for 10 overall, 3 for 3 here at Saratoga. And then finally, the Jockey Club on Saturday. I alluded to the Pacific Classic earlier when I talked about, you know, the older division and whatnot. Flightline out there, but some horses will come out of this and be playing in that division as well. Jockey Club Gold Cup, Grade 1, $1 million, mile and a quarter, Olympiad. A little bit disappointing, obviously, in the Whitney. American Revolution kind of rebounded off the seasonal debut disappointment when that one ran second in the Foster behind Olympiad. I think the connections are kind of high on First Captain coming in off the close-up second behind Dynamic One in the Suburban, and of course Dynamic One with the win in the Suburban. I think it's a fun race.
Yeah, you know, this is very wide open again too. Dynamic One is in great form, is working well. Will pick up 8 pounds if you're in the theory that weight does make a difference in these kind of races. Bill's still scratching his head over what happened to Olympiad. kind of the same theory as Malathaat. It was a very hot, humid day that day, perhaps, but he has no other explanation for that performance, hoping he's going to bounce back. American Revolution, training great, second to Olympiad last time. First captain, obviously a major player. But I'm going to take a shot with Keep Me in Mind. This horse, off a long layoff, came back, won an allowance race. He's with Todd Pletcher now. Watch him train, completely different modus operandi in the morning. Before he would go as fast as he could in his morning workouts. Now he rates, he finishes, he gallops out terrific. So I'm going to take a shot with him. I think he's going to be a little price in there, but obviously he's going to have to run the race of his career to beat these horses that have had obviously more seasoning this season. He's only had one race under his belt, so we'll see, but he couldn't be doing any better.
Yeah, very intriguing. I mean, hadn't been seen since the Travers last year. Came back and won the allowance event back on July 22nd.
Yeah, we know he likes this racetrack, so that's a big plus, but obviously so do a lot of them in there. He's going to have to really step up to the plate, but he sure is giving every indication that he can do that.
Fun closing weekend. What are your thoughts on the meet overall?
Yeah, it's always fun. You know, win, lose, or draw. I mean, you'd rather win, but you know, it's always great. The big races, especially. You wish the fields were bigger in a lot of these races, and they're not. But you know, for me, what other place where else would you rather be? It's kind of bittersweet. It's been a lot of work, and it'd be good to get a little break, but it's kind of bittersweet to leave here. So mixed emotions there, but fun as always for me up here.
Yeah, I concur completely on those thoughts. Mike, you and Dave have been alternating in here over the past few weeks on Thursdays. We certainly appreciate that. This is the last visit, but again, I want to tip my cap to you and thank you and Dave for going.
And nobody does a better job covering Saratoga than Dave Grenning. It's not even close. It's a walk away in that regard. He does an unbelievable job.
New York correspondent for the Racing Forum, and again, you can find both Dave's work and Mike's work, the hard copy of the Racing Forum or drf.com. Again, we really appreciate your visits this meet.
Pleasure to be here.
Mike Welsch from the Daily Racing Forum. A little bit earlier, Jim and Tina Bond, Matt Cutair from Adelphi Racing. Appreciate everybody who visited this morning. Don't forget, low rollers this afternoon. Tomorrow, it's the mini umbrella giveaway as Fan Appreciation Week continues. It's going to be a beautiful day. I mean, sunny and the temperatures are great. Come on up and enjoy the racing today, or enjoy it at the Racebook, or fire up your OTB Bet account and watch here on the network and enjoy it that way. Plenty of good action today. Kentucky Downs kicks off as well. Don't forget that. So enjoy the racing here on the network for the remainder of the day. We'll be back in tomorrow for morning programming, 9 a.m. for the Handicapper Support, 10 a.m. for Racing Across America. We'll see you then.
For 4 generations and looking forward to a 5th, Bruce Cerrone and his family have continued their 99-year tradition of delighting their faithful following with the finest authentic Italian recipes made with the freshest ingredients. Some things have changed in the last 99 years, but not Pinnell's commitment to the finest in Italian cuisine. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, just minutes from the track.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.